Hello everyone, this is Vinti. So just wanted to introduce and have some introduction first. Perfect, Anshu. Thank you so much. So I think we will most likely we will we will cover that. So yeah, I just wanted to be clear that this course is not only for the kind of just the Python thing. The idea is to even it's not even I named it as an interview preparation, but the actual thing is like getting complete like brush up your data structures and everything like which was like in day to day life. Sometimes we really don't use these things like what we learn, so it will improve the our regular coding as well. So but yeah, all the course will be on Python, so definitely while during this course we will definitely improve our Python skills. So ideally the idea is like, because I know that it is interview preparation is kind of even everybody wants to do, but we need a group of people, motivated people can do together. That's and we together can do it. Otherwise alone is like really pain, and all other thing is okay. So we can
Yeah, okay.
work,
Okay.
we will improve like every session.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I
Thank
think,
you.
yeah, thank you so much everyone again that joining the session. And so I'm going to introduce myself as well. So I am Vinti, and I work in Juniper Network. And uh, and so yeah, in my company there is like in the my field, basically I work in code coverage team. And like all those scripts, so currently we are moving from Perl to Python. So we are in the process of it, and half of that is already done. So kind of it's important for me as well to get command on Python. And also I run Enthusiastic. I'm founder of Enthusiastic, which maybe you guys know, many of you, because there I already, I think you might be from that group. So Enthusiastic, yeah. So other than that, I love, learning and teaching together. That's something what I like, and I like doing things together. So this will be the kind of a curriculum for our course. And so first thing is algorithm thinking. So we will discuss on the algorithm thinking, like all the BIGO notation and the way algorithm data structure, little bit data structures also, and like basic algorithms discussion. It's not like complete everything we will, but the basic algorithm thinking, how we program and how we think about BIGO and everything. So all other details, like it's kind of a more depth in data structure, array and string manipulation, hashing, hash tables, greedy algorithms. So these are the topics what I am having here, is like more onto like get like more aligned with the interviews, how people asking questions. So these are the topics. The topics are we chose like that. So array and string manipulation. So once we will, whenever we will do anything, kind, as I already said, that it will be kind of a lecture. Basically the class, like lecture means basically I will go into the presentation. I will show the presentation with the what is algorithm thinking. I will cover some topic. So this today we are going to cover BIGO notation. So I will go deeper in BIGO notation, and then I will give some examples and will give some questions where we will work together on that. This is how we will do, and every week we will give some homeworks also, so that you guys can, I will post homework in Google Classroom, and you can upload your answers as well. So now this is first thing what we I'm going to do in algorithm thinking is BIGO. Okay, so yeah, so this is something. Yeah, BIGO is like very common in data structure, sorry, in this interviews, because whenever you get any question, you have to think about BIGO. Otherwise, this is not the like, even though you answered correctly, if you have not think about BIGO and you did not talk about BIGO, what is the BIGO? Even before interviewer is asking BIGO, you need to say BIGO beforehand only. After doing anything, you only think yourself what will be the BIGO. So that's a great ideas, like okay, a time and space complexity, perfect, because BIGO is like having two things, time and space. So we if we talk normally, people think about BIGO is mostly on time. We come sometime we completely forget, even in interviews, because if we think in a way, right, in the interview also we will do the same thing. So make sure that we remember that BIGO is not only time, it is space as well. Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, so Bigo notation. So little bit more. I think so. She also mentioned like ON, like based on the I think something she mentioned. So, but yeah, let's see. So it's based on the number. So one thing I wanted to say, Bigo is like, okay, it's a something time. Let's say we are thinking about time, not the space right now. So time, but time can be like 5 second, 10 second, 20 second, right? We can say in that way. But why we are not saying in that way? We have a number, so it's kind of a relative thing. It's not like real time. It is something based on the number, like n. What is the n? N based on. So that's why it's kind of a depending on the number, depending on some number. How many? If number increases, whatever the number is increases, whatever is there, then Bigo will also change. So running time complexity in terms of Bigo is Fn. So basically, yeah, it's n, and based on the input size, maybe it's O log n, it can be n, n log n square, or anything thing. So Big O will represent like O and then this, any number of whatever the Big O is. And so two things, one is its representation is like that, and it can be worse, bad, fair, good, best, this kind of things we say. Like in good scenario, in bad scenario, what will be the Big O? In worse scenarios, what will be the Big O? These are the way we express Big O. Okay, so little bit theory. I added it this slide so that so that you will be having this slides also. This is very important, that how quickly the runtime grows. So how quickly the runtime grows is important. Why? Because exact runtime of that Gaussian depends on the speed of the processor. So sometime what happened, like it's not like in actual real scenarios. It may be depending on the your processor. What is processor? Your let's say processor is running multiple programs, right? So then Bigo will be less or not, right? We cannot say that, right? We don't we just think Bigo is just to how Bigo is like a ideal scenarios. It's not like we are not taking consider of computer issues and all, processors and all, what else computer is running and all. So that's why we represent it, how quickly the runtime grows, how quickly it's not like right now what is the current. It's a relative thing, how quickly it is changing based on the number, based on the inputs, how quickly things are changing in Bigo. So it's not the current, it's not really giving the current speed or anything. Am I clear here? It's kind of a quickliness. It's saying the relative thing. It's not like one current state of that. What is the time it will take for? Uh, I think you need more clarification here. Or maybe you can see that relative to the input. So yeah, it's the more main important thing. We need to make sure that it is something a relative thing. So relative to the input, and as input gets arbitrarily large. Okay, one more important thing, why we have to consider Big O, because many times we really don't think that, okay, right now maybe interviewer gave you calculate it for 10 number of thing, and you said, okay, you did it for 10 numbers of, you write the algorithm and you gave it, and then it's perfectly fine for 10 numbers. But you need to think that, okay, if a number is arbitrarily large, this number is very getting large, then what will happen? So this is something you will get the initially you need to think. After writing a code, you need to think about if number is very huge, then what will be the Big O? So we need to think in terms of, so that's why the name is algorithm thinking. We need to, whenever we are writing any algorithm, we need to think of a Big O also. So we need to compare that arbitrary large number, what will happen to this Big O. Okay. So I think this is something, idea behind that, why we need Big O. And here are some examples. Let's say this is just a def, this is a Python code, and the print first name, this is a function. So in Python, we use def for a function declaration, and Python first name is the name, and then items, we are passing items. Item is as the number of items for input, and we are saying print items 0. So we are printing the first item. So what will be the Big O of this one? And what will be the Big O of this one? Because we are passing items, but we are printing only one first item. No, because why not n? Because it's not printing, it's because how many times this, so just think in a way, how many times particular statement is executing. So what I was saying, how many times this particular statement executed, that is something which we need to know. Big O will be like, so okay, this number, this is executing just one time. So it means its big O is constant time, one time. It's not n time, right? If it is n times, then big O will be n, O n, because if it is n time, but it is one time because zero, just one time. So it is O1. So this is a constant, and this is really good big O. I mean, this is best big O. Maybe there is 50 item zero. Let's say if this is not the thing, there will be another example. Maybe here only we are printing print item 0, and next line we are having print items 1, print items 2, and till print items 100. So what will be the big O for that one? We are having 100 lines for print with item 0, 1, 2, 3. What will be the big O? 100, right? So constant, again constant, right? So again, so O1, so what will be the big O? Will be O1. It's a constant. For constant, we say 1. We don't say, we will not say 100. So that's why I was giving this example. Let's say your item is 0 and then again 100, but again it's a constant time, 100 times. 100 means a constant. 100 is a constant. That's why we will say O1. Let's say it's having 1000. Let's say, because it is something predefined number. If you're talking about printing something predefined number, then the big O is constant, because it's a constant, 1, 2. There is no relative thing, no n there. If n is involved, then only n will be there in the big O. If n is not involved in any statement, then it is constant, and it is very good big O. Even if you are printing 100 times or 500 times, still we will say that it is a constant, because we know if number will increase, that's what you need to think. If items numbers are increasing, still it will not change, because it is relative. It is not depending on the numbers. It is still 500. So let's say if your items list is having 1000, it's having this items is 1000, and but you are printing only 500 here. So 1000, if for even for 1000 item, big O will be O1, because only printing 500, constant time, right? 500. If you increase, now it's 1000. It was 1000, then big O was, because 500 number time it executed. That's why we consider it as O1. Let's say we increase the number, now items 1000 to 2000. Again, we will see, again the number is 500 only here, right? So 500, again, there is no change in the number. It means it's a constant. It's a constant big O. Number changing in the input is not reflecting anything in the print execution of the statement. It means it's a constant. So in these kind of things, we are constant, and constant is very good big O. Second thing is ON. Let's talk about ON now. So ON, okay, so we are printing same items, and then now what we want to do, we want to, for item in items, print item. So now it's having some dependency here. And what is the dependency? We having items number, let's say it's having 1000, then we are looping in 1000 and we are printing every time. It means we are printing this statement. We are executing this statement 1000 times, right? So if we have a number 1000, we are executing 1000. If we have 2000, we are executing this statement 2000 times. So basically it is not a constant. It is changing based on the input we are providing. So it's a linear, it's like same number, same time it's executing, right? 1000, 1000, 2000, 2000. It means it's a linear ON. So this is good, like one loop. So again, seeing the problem, seeing one loop, then it is n. If you are seeing items divided by 2, sometime in binary, right? We do divided by 2. So it means it's like n by 2. Again, for n by 2, we will remove constant. We will have just ON. So we will talk more on it. So for linear relationship, it's n. For constant relationship, where there is no changes, where you increase the number, but execution will not change. The number of time is the statement will execute will remain same. It means constant, and In big O word, it will say O1. Again, we will understand more now. Or maybe this way, this two things are very important. Later we can quickly, understand. This is one O1 and this is ON. Okay. Now the second thing. I think again it will be more simpler because we know previous examples. So now two loops, right? So first loop is for, okay, we know that if items are 1000, and for first loop it will just don't see this one. Let's say we just having one for loop. Okay. So if you just having one for loop, then what will be the big O of this? And it's having some print statement. It will be on, right, if one loop. But now what happened, there is a second loop. So it means it's saying that, okay, going to the first item, it's taking items and going to the for first item, and then what it will doing, it is having one more loop and it's taking same items, same thing. It's not like items by 2 or anything, items by it's taking the same inputs what was there in for the first loop. So here also items, we will say items as n, because to make it more clear, like n, here is also n. So n is a input, n is n passed in first loop, n passed in second loop. So for big O for the first loop will be n, and big O for the second loop will be n. So when there is two loops inside, one inside other, then we will just multiply it. So n multiplied by n is n square. So why? Because it will be multiply. So this is first loop will be n, second loop will be n. So total will be n square. So big O will be n square, and it's printing. Basically, it's having the same thing. First item, second item, we are printing, but we are looping two times in the two times, right? We are looping two times. So big O will increase. Let's read it actually. Here we are nesting two loops. If our list has n items, our outer loop runs n times and our inner loop runs n times for each iteration of the outer loop, giving us n square total prints. Yeah, actually you can say in that way also, that because we were talking about previously that how many times the system, this print statement is printing. So it is printing items times, n times, like if items is n, so n times printing, right? So same thing here. If you think about this statement, how many times this statement is printing? One loop, another second loop. So it will be printing n square, total n square times. One loop is inside another loop, so it will printing total n square times. So our big O will be n square for this example. If the list has 10 items, we have to print 100 times. If it has 1000 items, we have to print 1 lakh times. So now we have three. This is basic example. This one is ON. Whenever you see only one print statement with a constant, it is definitely O1. Second, if you see one loop, quickly you can say like, okay, there is one loop and it's kind of a same input, same number of items are passing in the loop. You will say quickly, okay, this is N. And here you see, okay, there is a two loop, but and both the loops, the same items are passing. It means it's n into n is n square loop, n square big O. And now we have because this is something we for a one function, but in actual word we will be having a file where we need to see that big O, right? So let's say we have two functions here. So two functions, like what will be the big O? So you just, what you need to do, take the big O of this one, take the big O of this one, check the big O of this one, and then see the maximum one. Whichever is the maximum, that is the big O. In this example, actually, what I wanted to say, if you are passing, both the functions have big O n, on, and how it is basically input, whatever input you are passing, it does not really depend on what exactly, how it is passing, like range. Because here what we are doing, we are printing high. We are not really printing anything related to that, right? So print can be anything, doesn't matter. The important thing is like how many times this is loop printing, how many times this print statement is executing. So that is something I wanted to say. Here we are printing item and here we are printing high. but there is no difference between big O. There is no difference for the big O. Both, in both the functions, big O is same, because this statement is executing n number of times or items number of times. So we are moving to the next one. Now it's a more interesting one. Drop the constants. So what we need to do, let's say, okay, so what will be the big O of this one? I think, any guess? So there is a function, exactly. There's a one function, def print all items twice, right? And we have this, we put all both of the two things here, just like what we said, right? Two functions, and what will be the big O of whole thing, we said, right? We said, okay, big O is n, it's big O is n, so we said that, okay, big O n, maybe this big O was on square and this big O was on, then we will say, okay, it is n square because of the maximum. Same thing here, in the same function. In the same function, there are two loops, but these two loops are not inside each other. They are isolated loops, and it's having items here, it's having items here. If you say for this loop, big O is, how you are merging those two things, that's what I wanted to say. You need to add them, n plus n. So if it is inside one another, then it will be multiplication. If it is not inside, it is just outside, then you just n plus n. So big O will be 2n. But again, 2 is nothing, in constant are kind of nothing, because if you increase the n, constant will be constant, it will not increase. So that's why we are dropping in big O word, we just drop the constant. So we really, even if it is there, if it is 2n plus 2, 2n plus 1, sorry, 2n plus 1, then again we will drop the 1 and we will drop the 2. So big O will be on. Okay, so let's say in the same example, we have this n, this is big O is on, and this is having big O is on, and where we have one more for loop, which no for loop, actually there's just a print item, and which statement big O is O1. So what will be the big O? OFN, right? So same thing here, you can see. Now you can calculate, you can see this is the function, and what it is doing, print statement. So if you see this statement, what will you say? You will say, okay, big O is O1, right? And now we are coming down. Okay, we are coming down here, nothing, big O length items. It is also O1. All these statements, big O is O1, right? Because because these are the things are executing just one time. So it's not taking anything, it's just one time. That one time is okay, because we always compare with the increasing. When we increase this, if it is increasing, then it is linear or anything, big O will come into picture. But if it is number is increasing and these statements are not changing, the execution runtime is not changing, then it will be O1. Now we have two loops. Okay, again, okay, this is good. So two loops, then it means we need to compare for this one and we need to check for this one. So let's check for this one. It's saying index less than middle underscore index, right? So basically what it is doing, it is taking the item, it is doing half times, because middle index is length items divided by 2. So basically it's not like if the number of items are 100, but it is looping for 50 items only. Because of that, because it is looping only for 50 items, so these statements are executing only for 50 things, right? So that's why big O will be n by 2. So big O for these statements is O1. Big O of this while loop is On by 2, and big O of this for loop will be, because it is having 100 there. So, and you are printing print just high. So, but for 100, right? So what will be the, like, let's say you, for writing purpose, we will say, okay, 100 times. Let's write with the execution. So we wrote O1 plus n by 2 plus 100. But 100 is kind of nothing, it's a constant. We can remove it. We can remove 1, we can remove 2, so it will be n. Why will we remove n? 2 also, just like we remove 2n, right? Just like when the big O was 2n, then again we removed, right? So all the constants will be dropped. Only n will remain. Even for this example, big O will be linear. Okay, let's read this. Why can we get away with this? Remember, for big O notation, we are looking at what happens as n gets arbitrarily large. Yeah, exactly. So when n is increasing, when you have really big n, then divided by 2 doesn't matter. Just like infinity, right? We cannot have infinity, but if it is a really big number, divided by 2 will really not making any sense for the big number. Okay, so this is something, and n gets really big. Adding 100 or dividing by 2 has a decreasingly significant effect. That's why we are removing it. So drop the constants and now drop the less significant terms. I think we already covered it, but we will go back. Just like we have for this function, we have two statements. What we will do for first one, we go is on, and the for second one, because it's just having print number, right, it's on. And for this one we have okay, two loops, right? So n square, so big O will be on plus n square. So what will be the big O? As we said earlier, right, we will just take the maximum one. So on square, even if it was like this, right, n square by 200 plus 100 and whatever number you will add, but it will be like, okay, you will remove this one because it's n square. You don't need to worry about the constant. Don't see the constant. You just remove the constants. Okay, n square by 2 plus 100n. So here the constant will not be there, just n, and here the constant will not be there, just n square. Then compare with the n square and n, then it's a on square. So initially you may take little time, understanding it, but later it's like quickly that, okay, one for loop it is just on, two for loop it is n square, n plus n square is n square. So okay, I think this is another example. N cube plus 50n square plus this constant will not be there, this constant will not be there, and n cube n square. Now comparison will be n square, n cube, and n square, though then it will come n cube. Same thing here. If we have like 2n plus 30 multiply plus n plus 5, we don't care about anything. We just multiply by n, and it's n square. Okay, that's very good. So I think we understood all, Vigo, how to, how to see the program. So whenever you are writing any program, so our goal is to, one more thing actually, worst case thing. Because sometimes this is another second thing, it's kind of a plus. When first thing, if you mention about big O, that is a plus. Another thing, if you think in a way that, okay, what will be the worst time complexity, what will be the best time complexity? Because sometimes, let's say if you have this kind of example where, let's say you have to find something. I mean, there is some question where you need to find any item. So maybe from the list of items, right? So maybe the worst thing is like you will be able to find it at the end of the list. Like last item is your item. That is the worst case, right? Because you need to go from one to one to whole everything. But it can be the best scenario will be the item will be the first of your list. So then it will be O1, right? So these kind of things need to be clear. Like sometimes in average case, there are average case. So we always think about average case, and worst case is on. Or in this example, let's say this example. So, and def contains haystack needle. Okay, we need to find, we need to see does the haystack contain the needle. So we are going from in the haystack list, whatever the array, and then we are checking if item is needle or not. If it needle, then returning true. So this is something can be best. This kind of case can be best, worse, or average also. So we need to think, okay, we can we can say that in this scenario, if it is the item is 100th item, then big O will be n, because maybe haystack is having n. It's kind of n number of array. So it will be big O will be on. But if the item you found in the beginning, then big O will be O1. So what will be the big O in real scenario? So that's something, let's read that loud. Here we might have 100 items or on our haystack, but the first item might be the needle, in which case we would return just one iteration of our loop, right? In general, we would say on runtime, and the worst case part would be implied. But to be more specific, we could say the worst case on and best case on. This is also, that's what I wanted to highlight, that sometime we can say on, but maybe in these kind of scenario, when you are solving problems like this kind of scenario where the best case can be on, so it's good to mention it. So it's now it's time for space complexity, which I already talked, that we really sometimes forgot about, talking in terms of space. We just take the time complexity. So it's something we need to know. We need to know which sometime when you work on the time complexity and trying to reduce the time complexity, maybe you will increase the space so that's something we need to find the optimal way that it should be good good, like both way. So like it should not be compromising in other way. So sometimes we want to optimize for using less memory instead of in addition to using less time. Talking about memory cost, space complexity is very similar to talking about time cost. We simply look at the total size relative to the input of any new variables we are allocating. So this is another second thing which you need to remember, is that the space complexity is not like what you have, what inputs, what is already input. Like let's say you have you are working on a list. Let's say this is the example. So haystack is having n, let's say n items. So n items is not the space complexity. You will not take this n for calculating your space complexity. This is not included. Space complexity will come into picture when you are making one more array here, temporary array or something. So that is the space complexity. That thing will be counted as an additional. So space complexity is always for the additional space. Okay, so one more thing here I wanted to add. Okay, one thing, additional space, and second thing, just like time, right? Time we also talk. Maybe you are printing 1,000 items. Maybe you are printing 1 lakh items, but it is really independent of the number of items you are passing in the array, right? So if this is the case, then again it will be 1. Same thing here. If you are having constant, you are having some let's say you are having some temporary array of 5 items. So even though you are having additional array, but it is a constant space. You are not assigning anything like a runtime, like any big space that your viewer. If it is related, like let's say haystack having n number of items, and if you have a temporary array which is having n number of items, if it is related, then it means this is a big O of n. If it is not related, then it's like it's okay. Additional space is okay if you're just having a constant space. If it is not changing based on the number of input. We can take some example to make it more clear. Take the real example of the space. So the function takes O1 space. We use fixed number of variables. Let's see. So important thing is like here you see that, right? 4 item in range n, right? So every time this time is changing, right? Every time. So let's say again I will go back. So let's say you are passing n items here. Input is n, right? Input is n. So in this input is passing in this for loop. And what is going on? This time is a constant, right? This time is not a constant, variable. This time is a variable, and you are passing. So what you need to do for having this variable? What internally what will happen? By this you will allocate one memory for this time, right? You need to inside, right? What will happen? There will be a variable space. This is also a space. This time thing is also taking a space. But is it every time we are allocating new time? Are we creating new variable every time? No, right? It is just one time we are creating a variable, and we are assigning value every time. Basically every time from this range 1 to n, we are passing the value, but we are really not creating additional space every time, right? So this is important to know that, okay, even though this time variable is taking space, but still it is constant. It is okay to use, because we are not really assigning every time one variable. We are not creating variable every time for n. So it is not really related to n. We are just adding values there, but not a real allocation. So this is how we need to see when we are using more space. Whenever we are creating more variables, whenever we are adding more arrays, right, allocating anything. So basically we need to know that, okay, we are taking some space. So we need to think algorithm thinking. We need to think in terms of time whenever we are doing any coding. And that's why before coding it will be better to do the pseudo code, so that you will catch these problems ahead of time. But yeah, still sometimes we know that this program is going to take a lot of space, and this is going to take a lot of time, but still it's okay at the time of interview to write that code, as that code is called brute force code, right? So it is important to write the brute force code to start with, and then later we can discuss, okay, I think it is taking longer time, let's reduce the time. So then you change the algorithm based on. So that's why algorithm thinking plays a role. So space complexity, again, something. Yeah, this function takes on space time. The size of high list scales with the size of input. So let's say you are having n here, and then you are initializing high list n, right? High list. Now it's not a constant array, right? It's not a constant array. If a constant array, then it will be like 1, 2, and that's it. But this array looks like we are going to add something here. So we are appending high every time, right? So we are taking space, right? Because how this array and number, so memory allocation is very important, which will be the second topic in our second topic, not today, maybe next week. So what is it's important? So here time is taking just one memory space, but this array is taking really a number of space, like let's say n. So it's taking n number of allocations, n number of spaces. So that is why it is linear, O(n). So every time when you are assigning something, append high. So every time whenever you are assigning something, it is really taking one space in the memory. So that's why that's why many times you will see that people will say then you should not take any extra space, right? In some of the example, do the reverse string, right? The reverse string is one example. Then people say that, okay, don't use any extra array. You just reverse string in place reverse, we say, right? So those kind of things is the example. Why they say that they really don't want to have a extra space. And why they really don't want to have extra space? Because sometimes just think in a arbitrary large number, right? If you have n, here n is okay, let's say n is 100 is okay, 1000 is okay, but it's really increasing the number, then what will happen? Your array, it will really take a lot of time. So that's why space complexity really play a important role. So O1 will be the default, and here it will be a number, because it's not what is O1. Just think it's a relative number. It's not like you are taking anything or not. It is it related to the number? Is it? So why we say O1 is a constant? Basically, it is really not. It's really not changing the input is not making any change. That is representing O1. So it means it's not like you are printing a statement one time or two time or whatever time. If changing relative, if you are changing the input of the number and it's not impacting anything in the execution, or it's not taking it like in terms of the, I'm talking about the time complexity also. So changing the n input of the number, if it is really not impacting anything in the execution or anything in the defining the space, like taking more space or anything, then it is a O1. If there is a relation, then n comes into picture. So I think let's take the another example to clear it more. So I am reading it loud because this is very important. Usually when we talk about space complexity, we are talking about additional space. So we don't include space taken up by the inputs. For example, that's what I said, that like inputs, whatever you are passing is really, we will not take that consideration. We just are talking about the additional space. So this function takes a constant space even though the input has n items. Yeah, I think this is clear. Largest is, this is the one constant space. So even input is independent, right? So that is why, because it's not related, so it means O(n). If it is having any relation, then it will be O(n) square or whatever. So sometimes there is a trade-off between saving time and saving space. So you have to decide which one you are optimizing for. So, but it is important at the time of interview, we say that, okay, I know we are taking more space, but I think it will reduce the time complexity. Or maybe you can say another way, which is, I mean, putting things upfront that, okay, this is why you are doing. So that will really make an impact. So sometimes there is a trade-off between saving time and saving space. So you have to, I think I already have this. Beware of premature optimization. Sometimes optimizing time or space negatively impacts readability. Yeah, that is another thing. Sometimes really it's like, you know that number will not be very large. You know that, right? In your whatever you're programming, maybe, you know, or maybe you can ask your interviewer that will that number going to be very large, or it's okay to having less number. If it is kind of 100 or below 100 or something, some constant kind of number, then definitely it's okay to have. But again, saying this upfront will be better idea. That you know that, okay, this is taking more space, but I think it's okay to take that because it will improve the readability. You should develop the skills to see time and space optimization, as well as the wisdom of judge if those optimization are worthwhile. Exactly. This is something what we talk about readability thing. So yeah, so I think this is time for some hands-on. So one thing, so I just add a very simple questions for today, like but this is really simple question, but our idea is algorithm thinking. So algorithm thinking, write a Python program to sum all the items in the list. So the biggest mistake what we do, we really start writing def sum list, and right, started the writing the question and what is the input. We should not do that. What we need to do, we just need to think first, read the and understand the question, and ask questions to interview to clear up any doubt. So do not assume. Basically, this is also important. Don't assume. So we need to think loud. Okay, this is the thing. Is there any, what kind of questions can come up? Any idea for this first one? This is very simple thing, and we can mess up, right? We can really ignore and we can assume it, right? So we need to take this practice asking questions, and that will really impact a lot. Like if somebody say that, okay, is there any negative number? Okay, wow. So one interview, this is the very important thing, because some asking some all the items, it's negative number, then even though your calculation and answer will not making any change, but it is good that we are thinking in a way that what kind of items it will be, instead of jumping into the writing the code.
And
Okay.
also, I think
Yeah, the items also, like if you say items, you cannot assume it because it's a Python, you cannot assume it's numbers only.
Exactly. So we can ask that, is there any check we need to do, because it may be anything else, right? So that's great. Anything else?
and also overfloating of the integer, right? Max integer. Because if the numbers in the list are too high, and if you add them up, it may overflow the
Yeah.
biggest integer number, I think.
Yes. See, this looks like a very simple question, and we will say, wow, this is very simple question, and we will start writing. So this is something really we need to know. Okay, maximum how many numbers? So these are the questions. It's a very good questions to think. Okay, so let's take the another one. Write a Python program to multiplies all the items in a list. So write a Python program to multiplies all the items in a list. Okay, who want to go first for a question?
Yeah, the same thing, it's coming to my mind. Is it all positive numbers or integers?
Right.
So we also need to check if the items are not null and whether they are zero or things like that, right?
Right. So yes, exactly. Thinking loud is the, and having questions. So that is, these are the good things to check. And people will definitely, the way it will interview will say in a very normal, you can assume. That's what actually what we regularly assume. Interview will say that you assume that there is no negative number. They will going to say, but we need to ask first before assuming. So saying that, okay, is there any zero there, and is it okay to have zero, or I need to have any check there for zero, or is there any null? Yeah. So these kind of things. And is there any negative number? So should we convert it to the positive and positive and remove the, like, give the absolute number, or is it okay to have a negative answer for multiplies?
And also, do we need to ask like how many maximum number of variables allowed to do these operations, or?
Yeah, space thing. Yeah, right. So this thing maybe little bit later, maybe
Okay.
not right now. Maybe little bit. Initial, you can start with algorithm, and maybe after that brute force. That, okay, I did something brute force. It's because otherwise it will take a lot of time also, right?
Sure.
Couple of question in the beginning, and because when you start brute force, and after then you yourself say that, okay, I took a little more space. I think I can avoid it by doing this. So improving it later. So let's say we have this approach. So the approach, what we need to do, read and understand the question and ask questions to interviewer actually, sorry, to clear any doubt. Algorithm. Okay, so next thing is algorithm. So normally what we do is start writing algorithm, but what we need to do, we need to write algorithm afterwards. And algorithm is like, so what will be the sequence of the things, but it is not there is no coding involved yet. No coding, just algorithm, writing the algorithm, what will be the way. So writing algorithm can be a pseudocode way. Basically, pseudocode is something you can write in an English way. Okay, this is first thing what you are going to do. Second thing you are going to do, and saying it loud as well. Okay, so let's say, so who want to go for the pseudocode for this one? Just talking, right? Okay, first, who knows what is pseudocode?
So pseudocode is basically the logic that we are going to implement.
Yes,
Uh,
writing it in a English way, right? In a regular
Yeah.
way, without writing any code, actual code, right?
mhm.
So write a Python program sum all the items in a list. So what can be the first line of the pseudocode?
So basically, you can write the function declaration and take in the input of how many items we want to sum. Like, is it a fixed amount or it varies? Like either we are
Input, right? So
yeah,
first
input.
is right. So you will take the function. Okay, I will write a function. Maybe you want to write. Okay. Second thing, what you will going to do? What is the input? Input is very
So the
important.
input is are we using like a variable or a fixed number? Like you want to sum like 100 numbers, or like is it n number of
It's n number of.
n number of?
That's how. Yeah, that's how it will be. Like it will be. You just take n number of. Maybe all of us. Let's write that in a copy notebook.
We are done.
Okay. So yeah, tell me the first step. Who want to say? I think.
I'm Srinu. So I can say, I think we have to,
Okay.
create a temporary variable to store the result, final sum of the thing. So I would just define the thing and then loop through the given array, and then
Hmm.
in each loop, in each iteration, I will just add it to that variable,
Right.
like result equal to result plus list of that.
Right.
Yeah, at that position, something
And
like
then
and then return that result at the end.
perfect. So this is the thing, and when we are writing it, right, then maybe you realize that you forgot to initialize sum before, and you added it there later. Is it like that? Or basically, sometime when we write it, right, so then we realize, okay, when we are looping to the number, we need to have some variable there or something,
Yeah, that's
right?
right. Yes.
So that kind of catches and all the, so we will not, this is the simple problem, but it can be a big problem, and then it's like debugging and all those things will become very hard. So having the pseudocode ready, which it's not related to any Python or any language, we can implement it easily once we know the syntax of a language. But the big important thing is having a pseudocode, right? So we need to, and now, okay, everybody is done with the pseudocode.
Yeah.
Okay. So same thing with the write a Python program to multiply all the items. I think kind of same, right? Any corner case what we can cover here, which was not there in the sum.
Yeah, we can check before doing the sum, we can check the data type, or if you don't, or if it is none or something.
Okay. Yeah. So multiplies all the items in the list. Yes. Anything, and also if item has, if item has 0, then it will be 0. Can be 1. Should not be 0, of course. So this is the difference basically, and we can do it. So this is another program, but we need to. Okay, I think let me open the chat again and see the first one, Anshu's one, the one which is very beginning, first one. Let's say what is the big O of this? OFN, right? Yeah. And in the second, Sashi's one, OFN, right? Okay, I think it's all.
They're all open.
I think I forgot first.
And then
Okay. So what I will do, there is one question actually I want you guys to do. Maybe that's what I decided. I thought, but what we can do, you can read this question and understand it and try implementing it in a way what we suggested here. So this is the question. I will post it in Google Classroom.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. So I think we can end the session now. We can digest that BIGO completely. And this is also kind of a BIGO question, little bit, but it is a more fancy things. So, okay, we will discuss more